In 2025, there is no shortage of shitty products and services designed to take advantage of you, rip you off, and steal your money. There are websites like Temu and Shein selling you hot garbage made by children in sweatshops and shipped across seas. Food delivery apps like DoorDash charging you a 300% markup to have cold, soggy french fries dropped on your doorstep. Meme coins and gambling apps preying on your desperation and siphoning money from your wallet in exchange for literally nothing. Companies are deliberately designing their products to fail, so you have to keep buying and rebuying them. And buy now, pay later apps are manipulating you into spending money you don't have on stuff you probably don't need under the guise of an interest-free loan, despite the fact that a reported 41% of their users wind up getting hit with late fees and penalties that rival credit card interest rates. But all of this stuff is old news, right? I mean, hell, I've made videos about basically all of these things in the past. But something that I think is often overlooked and worth drawing attention to is the one thing that all of these shady industries have in common, and that's preying on poor people. Well, except for maybe DoorDash, that's preying on lazy people. There have been countless discussions in the past about the various ways that being poor makes life more expensive. Things like being unable to invest in higher quality items and therefore having to waste money constantly replacing cheap things, or being unable to afford to stock up on groceries and household stuff in bulk and therefore having to pay higher prices for smaller quantities. And worst of all, being subject to overdraft fees from banks and high interest charges from credit cards and payday lenders, all of which truthfully amount to nothing more than a tax for being poor. Because, if people have no money, why not charge them more money? That'll definitely help. But well, like I said, it's 2025, and now there are more ways than ever to screw people over. Enter EWA apps. EWA stands for Earned Wage Access. These apps are the newest billionaire-funded, venture capital-backed fintech startups designed to steal your money under the guise of helping you. And as usual, poor people are target number one. So how does this all work? Well, earned wage access apps like Daily Pay, Earnin, and Dave make an appealing case. You went to work today. You earned money today. So why should you have to wait until Friday to get paid? By connecting your bank account with the app and allowing it to see how much money you make, you can choose to get an instant advance on part of your paycheck, typically up to $500, and get that money right now. There are no credit checks, no interest fees, and no late charges. Then when your paycheck finally hits your account on Friday, the app will automatically reimburse itself however much it loaned you, and you're settled up. Good to go, right? Well, no, not exactly. For one thing, most of these apps come with a monthly subscription fee, because of course they do. Generally, they cost anywhere from $3 to $10 a month. Plus, every time you take money out, they charge you a few bucks more as a transaction fee. It's not an interest fee, it's not a late fee, it's a transaction fee. Clever, right? One of the most popular apps, called Dave, charges $5 a month for their subscription, and then the greater of $5 or 5% for each withdrawal. And it allows you to take the money out a maximum of 2 days prior to your payday. That means that if you wanted to take out $100 on Wednesday, you'd be billed your $5 monthly subscription fee and a $5 transaction fee before the money's taken back from you on Friday. That's $10 in fees, and for someone who's not really financially savvy, it feels like a small price to pay. But when you calculate a $10 fee on a $100 loan and account for the fact that it's only a 2-day loan, that $10 works out to a staggering 1,825% APR. Keep in mind that most credit cards, which are well understood to be predatory, only charge like 25 to 35%. But that's not all. Get ready for the craziest part. These apps, which are owned by billionaires, operated by algorithms, and used by people who are paycheck to paycheck, or worse, they ask users for tips. I swear I'm not making this up. If you were wondering why the app is called Dave, well, what better way to convince someone to leave a tip than to try to humanize an algorithm? And Dave isn't the only one. There's also Cleo, Albert, and Bridget. Surely you want to leave a tip for your friend Bridget, right? But you're probably thinking that no one would actually tip an app, let alone someone who's already so desperate for cash. I mean, that's what I first assumed when I heard about this, but people are tipping. And not just a few people, most people. 73% to be exact. 73% of people using these apps are leaving tips, which added up to over $67 million in additional revenue for Dave in 2024. That's $67 million siphoned from people living in poverty who have a poor grasp on financial literacy. Earnin claims that 40% of the revenue comes from tips. Ultimately, the reason that people are using these apps is because they're feeling financially squeezed. More than 60% of Americans are currently living paycheck to paycheck, And according to the Government Accountability Office, the typical EWA user earns less than $50,000 a year. So all of that just creates the perfect storm for predatory companies like these to take advantage of people who have their backs against a wall. As I've said many times before, the single best thing you can do to improve your finances, and your life in general really, is to increase your income, because there will always be a limit to how much money you can save, but there is no limit to how much you can earn. And this is especially true when you own a scalable business. Today's sponsor, Printful, makes it easy for anyone to start their own brand and build a scalable business from home without any of the hassle of sourcing manufacturers, buying and storing inventory, or packing and shipping orders, because Printful takes care of all of that for you. All you have to do is pick the products you want to sell, upload your designs, and then connect to a sales channel like Shopify or Etsy. When someone buys one of your products, Printful receives the order, makes the item, and then ships it directly to your customer without you having to do anything. The items are made to order, so there's no waste, and you don't pay for anything until it sells, so there's zero risk on your end. You just focus on marketing. Printful's products are high quality and competitively priced, and because they partner with fulfillment centers across the globe, your customers will never incur any duties or tariffs on their orders, and they're supporting a local business every time they place an order. Like, if your customer's in Canada, their order is made and shipped in Canada. If they're in Australia, their order is made and shipped in Australia. Some of the biggest brands in the world work with Printful, and you can too. Just click the link in the description to get started on building your scalable business today, and a big thanks to Printful for sponsoring this portion of the video. So, if all of this sounds a little too familiar, like you've heard this before, it's probably because you're thinking of payday loans, and you're not wrong. Payday lenders use these exact same tactics, offering to front you a few $100s on the spot in exchange for a one-time fee that sounds small, but actually works out to an absurdly high APR, which you then repay a few days later when you get paid. These companies operate off the basis that most of their customers lack financial literacy and don't understand what a horrible deal they're getting, and likely that they've exhausted all their other options by the time they get there. And generally, all those things are true. And the real catch with these loans is that, in many cases, people can't repay them when they're due. Or even if they do repay them, they end up needing to borrow more shortly after that. Often, they wind up taking out payday loans to pay off other payday loans over and over again until they're in a mountain of debt that they can't get out of, with an interest rate that would make you puke. Like 200 to 400% isn't atypical. But EWAs are even worse. Like I said before, 1,000 to 2,000% APR isn't out of the norm because typical payday loans give you 14 days to repay what you've borrowed. But EWA loans only give you 1 to 2 days, which causes that APR to shoot up through the roof. And then if you factor in a tip, yeah. But here's where things get really interesting. In recognition of how predatory payday lenders can be, of how absurd their interest rates are, and how they prey on people who live on the brink of poverty, governments have started cracking down on them. In the US, lending laws are regulated at the state level, and most states have implemented rate caps on small loans. For example, in California, the maximum APR allowed on a loan of $500 or less is 45%. Now, that's still really high, but it's nowhere near what payday lenders typically charge. And as such, their business model doesn't work very well there. But EWA apps have found the sketchiest loophole of all time, and have somehow gained bipartisan support on their bullshit business model. You're gonna wanna strap in for this one. The way they do this is by claiming that they don't charge any interest at all, because what they're giving customers isn't a loan. It's just early access to their own money. Like, yeah, they're fronting you money and then taking it back out of your account a few days later, but that's not a loan, because it was your money to begin with. They just loaned it, they let you borrow it, they let you use it sooner, but it's not a loan. And if it's not a loan, then the fees they charge don't count as interest, because only loans have interests, and these aren't loans.
Pretty clever.
And lawmakers, well, they ate that shit right up, because of course they did, because lobbyist dollars. As if you needed any other proof that Democrats and Republicans both serve the same master, and it ain't you. Earned wage access companies try to paint the picture that they exist to help the working poor, but conveniently leave out the fact that predatory lenders like them are one of the things that make it so damn hard for someone to pull themselves out of poverty. If you're living paycheck to paycheck and struggling to make ends meet, the last thing in the world that you need is a loan with a 1,500% interest rate, or to be manipulated into tipping a fucking app. Some of these bastards even go as far as to team up with companies that employ low-wage workers, like McDonald's and Amazon, and have them offer use of these apps as an employee benefit. When you work for McDonald's, you don't have to wait for payday. You can get your money today with daily pay for only a small one-time fee of your left kidney. Isn't that generous? And here's the problem. Like I said before, 60% of Americans report that they're currently living paycheck to paycheck and say that they couldn't even cover a $1,000 emergency in cash. With job layoffs ramping up now, this is likely only going to get worse in the short to medium term, and more people are going to find themselves feeling strapped for cash, especially with the holidays just around the corner. But there is almost nothing you can do that's more self-sabotaging to your finances than to get caught up in these short-term, high-interest loans. Payday lenders have deservedly gotten a bad rap over the years for being scummy and exploitative, and the fact that they're pretty much always in like the sketchiest rundown strip plazas you've ever seen in rough areas of town, that only adds to the stigma. But EWA apps skirt all of the unsettled feelings you get from doing business with a loan shark by making it even easier for you to ruin your own life. These apps are available in the Apple and Google app stores. They're brightly colored and intuitive to use. They're fast and they're completely discreet. They appear to be the complete antithesis to payday lenders, when in actuality, they're an even worse version of the exact same thing. It's the epitome of someone smiling and shaking your hand while they spit in your face. So please, if you find yourself desperate for a few $100s to get groceries or pay a utility bill, whatever, please do anything other than use these apps. Sell something on Facebook Marketplace, spend a weekend driving for DoorDash. Hell, I'd never thought I'd say this, but even a cash advance on a credit card would be more reasonable. This isn't financial advice, by the way. Cash advances aren't great either. I'm just saying. But in the long run, what this really comes down to is a fundamental lack of financial stability. And if you are financially unstable, there are really only two possible reasons for it. Either you make too little or you spend too much, or both. I guess that's 3 reasons. If you suspect that it's a spending issue, start budgeting. Audit your bank statements. Figure out where your money is going. And if it's the dumb stuff, well, stop it. But if your living cost is genuinely too high, find ways to reduce it. If it's an income issue, look for a better job or a second job, start a side hustle, find a cheaper area to live in, get a roommate, literally do anything you can to avoid falling into these traps, because no matter what Jason Derulo tells you, Dave is not your friend.
I just partnered up with Dave, a banking app that's giving $200 interest-free cash advances. Sign up now.
If you like this video, like the video, subscribe for more. You can follow me on Instagram at according_to_Nicole. As always, I'm very curious to hear your thoughts and experiences in the comment section down below. So let me know if you've ever used these apps yourself, or if you know anybody who has, or hopefully if not, let me know what you think about all of this. Personally, I think it is extremely predatory and horrible, but I am completely unsurprised. But yeah, other than that, thank you guys so much as always for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next week.